Welcome back for part two of Understanding Attachment by Deconstructing Love is Blind Season 6. My name is Kate Travers. I'm a therapist, and my primary focus has been trauma and attachment for the last 25 years. So let's get into it. Just like I said in part one, which if you haven't watched it yet, please go back and watch it. I have not treated any of these folks. I just thought it was a really great show. And I hope that if you haven't watched it, you will go watch it. And if you have watched it, that you'll watch it again with new eyes, because I think they did an excellent job this season of having people from all styles of attachment on the show, or at least editing them that way. I have not treated any of these individuals, but I thought Netflix did a great job of that. And so you can thank my youngest daughter for putting me in the group chat and getting me involved in the show. And just to review, like if you haven't watched the first part, watch it again. But we have different styles of attachment. We have secure, which is the gold standard. And that's the one that you want to know about because you want to know what you're aiming for, right? In this part, we're going to look at insecure avoidant. It's one of two different avoidant attachment styles that we'll talk about. And then we'll talk about a special category, disorganized, in another part. But today it's insecure avoidant that we're looking at. So just a reminder, for securely attached folks, this is what we're shooting for. For qualities, you can give care to others, you can receive care from others, you know your unique autonomy, and you can appropriately negotiate your needs. For the insecure avoidant child, remember the behavioral strategy of the child becomes the relational strategy of the adult. Our insecure avoidant kiddo, this is a kiddo who has not had their emotional needs met enough. And if you remember from part one, enough is 30% of the time or more. The behavioral strategy that is a result of not having your behavioral needs met enough is I'll rely on things, not people. So I'll play with my toys. I'll be on my Xbox. I'll play my games. I'll do my sports, right? Things, not people. I'll figure it out myself. I got to make my own map because there's nobody out there to help me. And I'm going to avoid things with a lot of feelings because I don't have language to describe my feelings. So if you remember from part one, too, I mentioned that we have studied attachment across cultures. And the interesting piece is that across cultures, 60%, approximately 60% of people code as secure, and 30% of people code as insecure, while the last 10% code as disorganized. In the 30% of people that code insecure, they're either coding as avoidant or anxious ambivalent. In I cultures, pull yourself up by your bootstraps, be your own person, make your own way in the world. The only one who can do it is you. We have a larger percentage of insecure avoidant folks, which makes sense, right? The parenting strategy, which, and this is not to like put everybody's parents down because this is what we've taught parents to do in different generations, but not anymore. Thank goodness. I'm loving some gentle parenting strategies now, but in earlier generations, it was don't spoil the baby, don't pick the baby up. You know, the strategy for behavior was you can go to your room until you figure it out and you can come back and be nice, go sit on the step, or you're going to get a paddling if you don't do what I say. There was not any emotional regulation teaching, right? And so when we have that as a child, what we become, what our behavioral, or I'm sorry, our relational strategy becomes as an adult is dismissive of emotions, right? So we get wrapped up in things over people and we struggle with affection. We're going to hyper focus on work, on hobbies, and we're going to struggle to sit with and identify emotional needs. And you'll hear me talk about when we look at this particular person and in the next series, in the next part, which is going to be about anxious ambivalent style. When you hear me talk about it, you're going to hear me talk about structural needs and emotional needs. Structural needs are food, housing, right? Doctor's appointments, like things, money, right? These are structural needs to get me through my day. Whereas we all also have emotional needs. I need to be delighted in sometimes. I need to feel protected. I need to feel loved. These are needs that every single person has. And if you're a dismissive adult, you're like, I don't really have that. Yes, you do. You just aren't aware of it. And it's one of the things that you're going to have to work on. Structural needs versus emotional needs. You'll see it come up in the conversations with couples because oftentimes you'll see the dismissive adult saying, but I did this and this and this, and they're talking about a structural need. Whereas the person that is saying, but I need this and this and this, they're talking about an emotional need. And so that they end up being a mismatch. So you saw me talk about Brittany being securely attached in the last video. And in this video, we're going to look at Kenneth, who has the most predominant avoidant attachment style. He is not the only one with it in the show, but right now we're just talking about Kenneth. We'll go into Jimmy's avoidant attachment style in the next one when we talk about Chelsea, but we're going to talk about Kenneth now. So let's watch. This is where they're just moving into their home together. So this is their first day home. After they have been in the pods, they met, they weren't able to see each other. And again, spoiler alerts, they end up, going on like this grand vacation. Everybody goes on this nice beach vacation. Now they're coming home and it's time to really live together. So this is their first few hours in the house.
I'm feeling like tonight could be like a chicken night.
Do you want me to cook tonight or we want to get food tonight?
It's the first night in the crib. You gotta cook. You gotta...
Oh, so you're gonna make me cook?
Yeah.
I can enjoy the first night, huh?
We're gonna enjoy the food together. You feel me?
Yeah. I'm gonna start with bathroom stuff first. Is that okay?
Yeah, babe. Do you think?
I'm gonna do left side of the sink.
Yeah, babe. That's cool. It's crazy to realize that Brittany and I are in a new place. To have the experience of like, how do we operate when we move into a home? Brittany got to work immediately. Let me go ahead and start unpacking. What side do you want? You want this side? You want that side?
Maybe you can use the other bathroom to get ready in the morning.
Mm-hmm. So now she don't want to share our bathroom with me.
Well, you wake up earlier than I do.
That's what we're doing.
Come fit in this bathroom with me at the same time. Right.
Miss this so much. I miss my device. It is nice to completely just have no distractions, to live in the moment without having your phone. The other phone to that is I'm excited to have my phone back. I get to talk to my friends. I miss my family. But as a principal, like I had to make sure that my school was still afloat. So getting my device back was helpful.
Is the bed comfy?
So you hear him, you're never going to see Kenneth more animated on this show than when he got that phone back. That smile, you're never going to see him more animated than that. That phone is his lifeline. It's his thing. It's his item that he hyper focuses on, as well as his work. So you'll see this, right? And you're going to watch Brittany give a bid for connection and emotional support in a second. She's going to sit on the bed and say, oh, it's nice and bouncy. Great time for him to turn around and like give her a kiss and talk about how great it would be to bounce on that bed with her. But you'll see what happens because he's got his thing back, his phone.
Guess what?
Oh, it's memory phone. Okay, good. Don't look at your phone too much.
Let me get my life together. Gotta get it together.
Are you gonna unpack with me?
Yeah, I'm trying to finish responding to these emails. I got the presentation on Monday, so I'm trying to send this real quick.
The hustle never stops. My hip just... Do you have a preference on left or right?
pretty sick.
Why?
I'm gonna go chill downstairs.
Okay.
So you saw Brittany also make a choice right there where because she's been told by Kenneth that she picks him apart, which is really his way of saying, you're asking me to meet an emotional need and I don't even know what you're talking about. He's accused her of that. So she's taking a second to try and figure out, am I going to let him be? Is this him being himself? Is this part of who he is? Or am I going to address this? Right. And she decides to let him be in that moment. So you're going to see in this one, we're going to see them talk more about their relationship. It's been a couple of days now. And so you're going to see some of that particular conversation play out.
Is there any? Okay, this is a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh my God, you're such a dude.
Yeah.
Although, yes, we had such an emotional and spiritual connection within the pods, and I could not see his body language. Granted, I have only been with Ken in person for a few days now.
Oh, this is my spice cabinet.
It's just, he has his introverted moments. Oh, it's so big.
Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe I could be reading into it too much. We did talk about like how I have a tendency of overanalyzing, and that is something that I have noticed. And I think over time, like I'll better understand that like when he is taking his moment, like maybe he just needs that time, but like he's not upset, like everything's okay.
So, you've seen everything.
I liked it. I'm impressed. Yeah.
How you feeling? Cause I'm ecstatic, but how are you?
Honestly, I'm not looking at her.
I'm excited. I'm excited for the real world. I believe that there always in life has to be a balance. When we were in the Dominican Republic, like you still had a sense of like peace and happiness overlaying you. Whereas truthfully here, it seems like a distance, which is fine. However, you do not have that sense of like peace and like just relaxation over you.
So she's saying, I need to feel a connection to you. I'm missing a feeling of connection to you. And rather than meet her where she is and saying, what would feel more connected to you, right? You'll see what he's about to do. Because he doesn't see the emotional need.
Like this morning when we woke up, and I'm like super excited, and I like smile at you, and I'm like, "Good morning, baby," and you rolled over and you're like, "Hey," and I was like,
But see, here's the thing.
Damn.
That's why I say it's very overly analyzed, because every night that we spend together, I haven't been that way. When I have these moments that are not like the big personality or just like the really just overly like, what is going to be the grace that I'm getting? Because you're not going to always show up when how like peaches and good morning, like that's not always going to be you. No. So do I get a chance? Am I supposed to just be like?
I would argue that Brittany actually is usually very much like that, and that if she's not like that, that would be the time for her partner to go like, what's wrong, babe? Rather than saying, oh, he's about to say, you're accusing me of having something wrong. Well, he's got a pretty flat affect, right? And so he's kind of pushing it back on her that there's an issue with her for questioning it. But really, she's saying, I don't feel connected to you when you do that.
Is there any? Okay, this is a little bit.
Let me get us back.
Very overly analyzed, because every night that we spend together, I haven't been that way. When I have these moments that are not like the big personality or just like the really just overly like, what is going to be the grace that I'm getting? Because you're not going to always show up when how like peaches and good morning, like that's not always going to be you. No. So do I get a chance? Am I
Usually going to be
like,
her.
Right.
Oh, for real? You know what I'm saying? That's how you gonna be?
That's how you
on one day.
He's accusing her of being offended. She wasn't offended. She's asking about connection.
That's kind of why I am with it. Like, I want there to be a level of like,
Grace.
yeah, like what are you gonna do when I'm like, when I have moments where it is completely just not who I normally am on a day-to-day basis? Like, is it gonna be something where you're like, are you still happy with me?
Yeah.
Do you still want me? Do you want to be here? I'm ready to be normal, go to work, you go to work, and then we come home to each other.
So he wants the
I
structural
understand
piece, right?
completely. I don't have
See that?
questions.
And it's
you
not unreasonable
are feeling me.
when your partner goes, hey, it's not unreasonable to check in with them on an emotional level and go, you okay? Are we okay? Is it something that we need to talk about, or you need some kind of support? That's really what she's suggesting. And he's accusing her of picking apart the relationship. Oops.
Is there any?
Oops.
Okay, this is.
I just want you to see how he ends this, because he actually started the conversation. How are you feeling? Even though he was on his phone and not looking at her, right? And so she's saying, this is how I'm feeling. And then he says, well, you can't just call me out on every single little thing. He asked.
We have exactly what it takes
So,
because we are
here's how it
two
ends.
very strong-willed individuals that will do kind of like whatever it takes.
For sure.
Oh, there's a bid for physical connection.
Should just turn my head.
And now he's mad at her for asking for emotional connection. And so he says, and then he picks up his phone again. Right? And that is what avoidant attachment style looks like, right? So we're going to wrap up, but you may be wondering, if I am avoidant dismissive attachment style, what do I do about that? How do I get closer to security? What is my first step? Your first step is to identify feelings. It sounds simple, but it can be very, very difficult. Go get one of those like emotion wheels, feeling wheels. You can Google it easily, and just start by identifying the basic emotions: happy, sad, mad, scared. This is what I'm feeling right now. Just identify. That's it. That's going to be your start, and finding a therapist who knows about attachment. That's really going to be the beginning of your healing. But as we go through, you're going to hear the other two attachment styles: anxious, ambivalent, and disorganized. And we're going to talk about what is the trajectory of healing your attachment style look like. And remember, in part one, I told you I was not securely attached. Growing up, I was actually disorganized and only found security in adulthood. It is doable. We can heal these styles. And I hope that you'll continue to join me on this journey when we do part 3. Thanks so much.